Hi everyone, this is your last video on telling time. This is your Fluency 1 lesson, and in this lesson we're going to look at telling time to the minute just like we did in the previous lesson, but on top of that today we're going to look at using past and to language to tell the time. Okay, when we look at a clock, so I've got an example here, we know that we have to read the time in hours and minutes. We focus on the hours first. We look at the shorter hand. Here is the hour pointing towards the 8. And then, of course, we focus on the minutes. And here it is. We're not looking at the 4. We're looking at the minute dashes behind. We count round in 5s. 5, 10, 15 here at the 3. And we're going to count a little bit further on. 16, 17, 18, 19. So the time would be 8:19. Now, that's how you could read the time, and if someone asked you to say, oh, what's the time of this clock, you could say it's 8:19. But there's actually a more advanced way that we can say and read the time, and that is by using past and to language. I'll show you. Alright, when we look at our clocks like this, we can just use a line to cut it pretty much straight down the middle, starting at the top on the 12 and going down to the 6. And that divides our clock divides it in half. When we look at the clock and we want to use the advanced way of reading the time, this is the easiest way to help us remember. We need to imagine that there's an imaginary line, just like this blue line going down the middle. And then when we've got them in half, we need to remember that this side over here on the right, which I'm using in green, is our past side. Because when we are working with our hands on this side of the clock, or our minute hand on this side of the clock, the minute hand which has started at 12 has gone past. But once our minute hand comes down to the 6 and it's heading back up to the 12 on this side, and I'll do it in yellow on this side, heading back up that way, it's actually going back up to the next hour. So this is our to side. On the right we have past the hour, and on the left we have to, going back up to the next hour. If we know that, then we can read the time using past and to language. So again, we would focus on that the hour is 8. See how I was pointing there? It's not quite 9 yet. And our minute hand has come down here towards the 4. And just like we looked at before, we knew it was 19 minutes. Our hand has gone 19 minutes past 8 o'clock. So using past and to language, we could read this time as 19 minutes past 8, because 19 minutes ago it was 8 o'clock. Or we'd just say 19 past 8. This picture might help you a little bit better. See, again, we have here our past side on the right hand side and the to on the left, because we are coming back up to the hour. If we start at the o'clock, if we've gone 5 minutes this way to the 1, we've gone 5 minutes past the o'clock. If we come down even further to here, we've gone 10 minutes past the o'clock. If we come all the way down here, we've gone 15 minutes past the o'clock. And we know that when we say 15 minutes, it's a quarter past. Down here at the 4 is 20 minutes past the o'clock, because we've come 20 minutes past. 25 minutes, or at the number 5, is 25 minutes past. When we're at the 6, right down at the bottom, we are directly halfway around the clock. So that is why we call it half past. Now, this is where it gets a little bit trickier, because as soon as we pass the 6 and we're coming past the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, back up to the 12, we are now on the, which side? The 2. So rather than saying past, we now say to. Here, at the 7, and you can read it, it says 25 to. It is 25 minutes to the o'clock. If we count round, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So if we had a hand coming out here, pointing towards the 7, that hand would still have 25 minutes to go until it was facing up at the o'clock there. So this is 25 minutes to the o'clock. If we were at the 8, we'd only have 20 minutes to go. At the 9, 15 or a quarter of an hour to go. And then at the 10, it's actually quite easy to remember because it's 10 minutes to go. And 11, we are 5 minutes away from the o'clock. Let's have a look at how we would read this time using the advanced way of reading the time. Again, we focus on our hour hand first, and we can see it's coming in here between the 6 and the 7. So we've passed 6 o'clock, but we haven't quite got to 7 o'clock yet. We're going to need to remember that for later. So then we focus on our minute hand, and here it is coming down here. Again, we need to count round to see where that minute hand is actually pointing at. And we'd count round in 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 is here. And we need to get to the next yellow line. So it would be 26, 27. So the time on this clock is 6:27. But we are going to see if we can say it a bit better than that, the more advanced way. If we draw our line down the middle and cut our clock in half, we have our pass side over here and our to side over here. So we need to find where our minute hand is. Here it is. It's on this side of the red line. So we know we're going to use the word past when we say this time. We know that our minute hand has come 27 minutes around from the 12. So it is 27 minutes past. But what? Is it 27 minutes past 2? Well, no. This is where our hour hand is. It has gone just past the 6. So we would read this time as 27 past 6. Alright, look at this example. So we could say it the easy way and say that this time is 7:48, or we could be pretty clever and say the more advanced way for this time. Again, we remember that we've got to imagine there is a line going down the middle of our clock, just like that. Oh, it's not quite straight, but it's pretty close. There we go. And on this right-hand side, what is the right-hand side? It is the past side. And on the left-hand side, it is the to side. So we find where our hour hand is, and we can see it is coming right in here. It is not quite at the 8 yet. So it hasn't been 8 o'clock. So that means we're in the 7 hour. So then we find our minute hand, and we can see it's all the way up here. It's quite close to coming back up to the 12, which would make it 8 o'clock. But it's not quite there yet. We need to remember we're on the to side. So we want to find out how many minutes till or to it is 8 o'clock. So we could go from here and count how many minutes will it be until we are back up at the 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we could say that in 12 minutes time it would be 8 o'clock. And the other way of saying that is 12 to 8. Now that sounds completely different to 7:48, but these two ways of saying the time are the same. 7:48 and 12 to 8, it is the same time on a clock. So remember, we can read the time going hours first, then minutes, or we can be really clever and say it the advanced way. And the way we can do that is by remembering this side of the clock is our past the hour side, and this side of the clock is coming back up to the o'clock, so it's the to side. We read how many minutes it's gone past till halfway, and then we read how many minutes it is going to be until the o'clock. If you can remember this and read the time in that more advanced way, then that means you have a really strong and great understanding of how to read time. So make sure when you are reading the time, you practice reading it just the regular way, like saying 8:45, or the advanced way, saying 8:45. Fantastic work today, guys. Give yourself another thumbs up. You've done a really good job. And now have a go yourself at trying to read the time using past and to language. Well done.